Question 7 of our evaluation, it's what we've learnt from our preliminary task from doing this whole full product. Our preliminary task was walking through a door project, and since then, from making this product, I've learned a lot. And one thing is verisimilitude. I've learnt that we have to make it more authentic, and to be able to use things that make it more believable and more authentic to what it's meant to be. Like when in our walking through a door sequence, we didn't really use much iconography which could add to the authenticity of the film, whereas now we're thinking more about what mise-en-scène that we need to use and what we need to use to make it authentic and make it have a really good verisimilitude, and to make it look the part, and so it's believable and people will believe that it's actually in that time. We've also learnt a lot about iconography and how it affects the film so much, and how if you have one thing in the film and it doesn't quite fit with the era or the scene that it's in, it will affect the whole product. And in our making of our product, one of the actors who was playing a soldier accidentally wore his Nike trainers when we were filming, and he was a soldier, and that's one part of the mise-en-scène, which is the props and the costume, and that one icon, which is part of the iconography, completely ruined the verisimilitude of it, so we had to shoot it again. But it shows that how one little thing can affect the whole product as a whole. Whereas when we done our walking through the door sequence, we didn't look at all of the minor details, it was just the general aspect of it. But now we know that the verisimilitude and the iconography of a scene, each little scene, it all matters to add up to the whole product. And since then, I've also learnt that the mise-en-scène, such as the lighting and the camera, all matter a lot, and the lighting has to be completely right, and how to alter the lighting and the colour balance if it's not quite right, and being able to use the camera better, that's definitely one thing that I've learned, because since our walking through the door sequence, we weren't able to zoom in properly. Like when we zoomed in, it was really shaky and it didn't really look very authentic. It didn't look like a proper film, it just looked like somebody was recording on their camera at home. But since then we've been able to overcome that kind of thing, and we've been able to use the camera better, and I've personally been able to use the camera a lot better. The plots that were thought of, I've definitely learned a lot on designing the plots and making them more invigorating, because our walking through a door sequence, it was very plain and it didn't have a very interesting storyline, it was very blunt and everyday, whereas the plot for our final media product is quite interesting, and we tried to add a lot of things in that would keep the audience interested, and so that we could attract a larger target audience. We've also learnt more about the different things that you can use to edit and use the camera shots for, as different things that we use now are diegesis and the world of the film, and making sure that diegetic sound is there and it sounds right, and the non-diegetic sound sounds right, so that it doesn't confuse the audience. Whereas the only things that we thought about in the walking through the door preliminary task was match on action, shot reverse shot, and the 180-degree rule. Those were the only things that we were concentrating on, and the only camera angles and things for the mise-en-scène that we considered, and that's all that we knew. And since then I've learned so much more on being able to make everything authentic and so that everything fits right, and I've just genuinely learned a lot about how to put things into a scene and to make it look authentic and to make sure it works.